You guys, it's time for the daily part 3. Do-up. Something better, gamer. We are looking at variations on standard play, so let's wrap up by looking at this last game where SaSe is not going to be doing standard like he did in game 1. He's not going to be doing all in as he did in game 2. He's going to be doing something weird and in between that. But we're going to see again how GanZi changes his standard form, his standard skeleton, and bends it and twists it a little bit to do these nice little adjustments. And then we'll take some questions and close it out. It'll probably be a slightly short part 3. Do-up. So we're going to look at this from GanZi's point of view. GanZi point of view. Oh yeah, let me yawn because a few things are more boring than listening to myself talk. Oh god, ain't that the pits? G. Louis. So GanZi does what every normal Terran player would do and expand pretty quickly.
Upgrade.
Still not getting much information, but aha, we get a noble first Marine. I will note that around 3:30 is generally when a Cyber Core finishes up. And around 4:05 to 4:15 is when that Stalker pops out. So this Marine is super duper duper safe. 4:15, that is when things can actually become a threat. GanZi, why are you building such an early bunker? Is it because you're terrified? Are you upset? Are you scared? Nah, he's made of balls, man. He's building an early command center. Still note, though, that we always say, what are the problems that I can encounter on this map? And, thusly, how will I deal with them? So, of course, sending this first dude out. Doink. Oops, I hit the B button. Forgive me, guys. Yeah, this, it doesn't happen often, but this is a very nice way to deal with some weird proxies that people will do. You can see if a first zealot ends up heading down our way. Something like 10 gate with double chrono boost can be pretty annoying. But again, GanZi is kind of going, now what do I normally lose to? Well, a player who moves his Stalker out into the middle of the map and shuts down all my vision. Phooey. So, kind of like in game 1, he's just sending this guy right on around. At about the same time, checking out everything that's up. This is a surprisingly high percentage play on a lot of maps, yeah. Because we got our early bunker, we're feeling pretty good. You know what really sucks is when a player runs by, so probably want to be building a supply depot, probably not here right now because he can shoot it from this side, but here, yeah, definitely. This, to me, feels like the vulnerable side, but we got a good sense of what was up. So we're building 2 more barracks. We didn't see a big flood of gateways, so we're pretty comfortable not only building these 2 barracks and these 2 refineries before Bunker 2, but we're also comfortable moving all the way out here. We feel great about that. Look at this, accounting for all these problematic hidden pylons that could happen. Oh yeah, GanZi baby. Yes! So then GanZi does something that I think is a very reasonable and of course manly thing to do. As we go to the GanZi camp, he's building 1 engineering bay. It's not, it's again a little early because we see really no sign of aggression.
Upgrade. Add on.
And then we get this little scan up, and this is very useful for us because this starts to narrow down his strategies. Generally, players will not just build a vestigial robo facility and then go all in with 7 gates. Normally when they're doing this sort of play, they're going to be going for a fast colossus, some sort of defensive play to take this. Maybe they'll be going for an immortal push early, although that's uncommon. Could be doing warp prism tactics. There's a really nice series of answers that we see out of GanZi. I blasted through a number of possibilities, but we're not that concerned with the big attack now. So what do? Move right on out and try to hunt down anything that could be anywhere nearby. He's either going to be attacking us or he's going to be early expanding. So let's just do the same scout pattern again. This either gets him a fast third, or he's going to be doing some sort of aggression. So GanZi, ooh, we scouted something that builds warp prisms, so we will build the thing that shoots warp prisms. Yeah, still there is a possibility of Dark Templar and that sort of thing. This is a little bit excessive on the cautiousness, but look at all this nice scouting out. Why? Because we're really not that worried about warp gatiness. Really doing some excessive moving all the way around. But I like this because this is here to just push back some stuff. Can be a little bit concerning if we run into weird things, but we're really just clearing out the middle, and over time we're starting to go, alright, cool, I can actually move this out a little earlier than anticipated. Because for every minute that I don't see an attack, I know that he's actually going for some sort of longer term play. Now, I'm going to pause right here and note that this is a hyper new school style of play that we're seeing out of particularly Liquid Hero, where Protoss is, rather than saying, I'm going to build Colossus to defend my third, they build the Colossus, they build all the units that they normally do to defend the third, but then they instead just attack with those units. So that way they don't have to deal with medevacs dropping everywhere, they're making the Terran player shit his pants. So this is a real popular strategy. GanZi doesn't quite know, but then he runs into that Colossus and kind of has an Ermagerd moment. Oh, get home. But notice how all these were still rallied up into the main base. We weren't positive that our opponent was going for some sort of big mass upgrade thing, so we didn't go double engineering bay, we just went single engineering bay. Why? Because that's very simply when we did that scan, this is all we saw. So now, as we're at the 1035 mark, we have our nice core of our 5 barracks. And because we moved so far forward with those Marines, have you ever been in a situation, I'll come back here, right when our starport's finishing up. Have you ever been in this situation where Colossus shows up and all you have are medevacs? You ever thought of that? That ever happened to you? Oh, that's a stinkeroo, huh? Well, hey, if you're doing these little pokes, you can get a good sense of his composition. This stinks in terms of the... in terms of this tab, in terms of this units lost tab. Oh, we lost so many Marines. But we now know that we get to skip medevac production. We have a better mix. Our dude in the center scouted some stuff, and we still almost got these Marines all the way up to the 3rd base. GanZi does a very narrow job of defending here. But generally, the opponent dies. Generally, Terran's dead here. Because he has this plus medevacs. But GanZi, cleverly moving his units around the map, being very active, and all this unit movement in the middle is based around, oh, he really can't be going for big warp gate stuff right now. He's probably doing some sort of build warp gates for defense. Because all that's going on, GanZi's moving out, checking space, clearing pylons, clearing stalkers that are randomly around, sees the composition, boom, can answer right on with the right units, and actually begin to take out the Colossus and even eliminate one. He did eliminate one, by the way. It didn't end up showing up on camera. So now we have GanZi. Now that he's held this off and sort of sees that his opponent was going for kind of a tiny attack, or actually let's be more let's be more blunt. Because our opponent just didn't attack and we killed it, we're not going to try to freak out and get over-eager and try to go win the game right now. We're going to do something that will allow us to be more ahead, as Artosis would say. We killed off that attack, we got ahead, now let's get more ahead. So let's go ahead and build an engineering bay. Let's build another command center. Before we rush in and get our extra barracks up. Just because she said yes and she'll go to the homecoming dance with me doesn't mean that you should propose right before homecoming. You haven't even tried to pin a corsage on her yet. What if you stab her in the chest, as I've done many, many times? I'm sorry, I didn't realize the needle was that sharp. I thought it was meant for fabric. Fabric's like decorated skin, Sean. It's just like that. So yeah, just moving on out. Doing the usual move outage, doing the nice factory scoutage. Look at that, another command center. I want to emphasize that we got ourselves ahead. We moved out. Look at this. 1 command center, 2 command center, and meanwhile, back home, we add on these other barracks. We went pretty huge in the upgrade and powering department before we started to do things like get beyond 8 barracks, right? Now there's 11 there. And GanZi just continues to blast down the front door with absolutely no ghosts anywhere. Look at this discrepancy in supply. Do-do-do-do. It's almost done. It's almost done. Some storm buys some time, but it will not buy you life. I'm sure my encoder's pooping out pretty hard, and you're having trouble seeing exactly what's going on, but that's fine by me, because the only important thing that you need to know is that GanZi is rolling faces all over the places. GG. GG. This is what makes standard players up in Code S feel like they're cheating when you compare them to standard players, say, in Masters League. Pretty much everyone at a certain point when they're saying I'm playing standard is going for the Marine Marauder medevac composition with the early expand. Nothing too crazy or cutesy. But we're seeing GanZi do very important scouting and doing things like if he gets into the opponent's base and he sees no evidence of any big gateway attack, he starts to move out more. If he sees evidence of the opponent going for forge upgrades, then GanZi goes for forge upgrades. If he sees evidence that his opponent is going to be attacking him earlier, then he gets the earlier bunker. He gets earlier medevacs out. If he sees his opponent is maybe going for some kind of defensive-ish play, actually, I gotta take this contact out. My eyes dry. If he sees his opponent going for some sort of defensive-ish play, or a huge attack, like we saw in Part 2, he does something that will account for both of those. He goes for the bunker, and he gets himself up a fairly swift starport before he even begins the upgrading. And then more intuitive stuff. He sees that he has killed off a big attack. So what does he do? He instantly builds a second engineering bay in this game to start getting more upgrades and goes for more expansions. If that attack didn't happen, GanZi would very likely just add on a whole bunch more barracks. Go up to 8 barracks and then go for engineering bay 2 and really blast down the front door. That's what Polt does against players who are super passive, and it works out nice. Let's go ahead and take some questions. Oh man, I didn't sleep very well last night, and if you don't sleep, your eyes tend to get dry. I don't know if any of you have had this, but I had a course of Accutane when I was younger because my acne was terminally bad. It was the worst, man. Oh, it was so bad. So I since then have always kind of had like dry skin, dry eye problems. So if I don't get a good night's sleep, this eye dries out. You'll notice that this eye is quite red, and this eye is fine. That's because I wear a contact just in my left eye. Dead Lizard asks a totally reasonable question. Day9, what do you think about landing the scouting factory during that attack and rallying Hellions into his mineral line? I would recommend against it unless you have told yourself, I'm only trying to have fun in this game, and I'm only trying to do research in this game. It's generally very bad, sort of counterintuitively. In a general sense, deviations away from a clear, focused center are bad. As just a general rule. The best army is not the army where there's nothing more to add. The best strategy is not the strategy where there's nothing more to add. It's when there's nothing more you can take away. So rather than saying things like, maybe I should put in some Ravens and some Blue Flame Hellions, it could be like, can I just go Marine Tank Medevac? Can I cut Marauders out of the picture? Can I cut Ravens out of the picture? That's the goal to approach. So, and also specifically in this question, what about Hellions in the mineral line? Almost always you'll build the Hellion, shoot once, and then it will die, and then your factory will have done no useful scouting during that period of time. And it will be vulnerable to zealots and immortals and all that jazz. I do not recommend it. Let's see, I can only read with this thing. People are asking about my eye. Rila Bestami says, Day 9, what are the top 3 things I need to know to get better as a Bronze League Terran? None of that worked. Alright. Here we go. I'm going to create an order for you. Here's the order. Here's the 3 things. Here are the 3 things in order that I want you to do in the following order. Step 1. If you're a Bronze League Terran, I do not want you to build anything but Marines, Marauders, and Medevacs. Cut all the fat out of the equation, man. Marines, Marauders, and Medevac. You might be a Protoss player who's down in Bronze, and you're like, well, what should I do? Frickin' Stalkers, Sentries, and Colossus, and frickin' nothing else, man. Sure, maybe make a Zealot or 2 at the start, but then frickin' nothing else, just those. Until you start climbing your way up. Zerg, only roaches. Yeah, you just, so first things first, only build Marines, Marauders, and Medevacs. We're just going to say that right off the bat. This will make your gameplay a lot easier. There's still a lot to do, getting add-ons and getting upgrades and all that stuff. The second thing that I want you to do is when you're playing, your #1 goal is to never miss SCVs and to never miss depots. I don't care if you're in the middle of a battle. I don't care if you're like, oh, this is the time I build barracks now. If you think, oh, this is the time when I normally build barracks, be like, all right, but before I do that, let's build some SCVs and depots. That right away is a huge challenge. Actually, go into single player mode and try to do your thing. Rewatch just 8 minutes of gameplay. 8 minutes in real time is like 5 3/4 minutes or something like that. So it takes just over 5 minutes to play for 8 StarCraft minutes. And you can relook at the replay and be like, oh, look at that, I missed an SCV, I missed an SCV. Very hard just to make sure you don't miss SCVs and depots. So once you've done that, your third goal is to just keep your money under 500. Do stupid things to get your money under 500. We watched GanZi go 1 barracks, and then have 3 barracks total because he added on 2 more, and then have 5 barracks total because he added on 2 more. Do stupid things. Build 1 barracks and go, whoops, my money's 1,000, and then build 6 barracks. Do anything you can to get your money down under 500. And with just those things, only these 3 units, first get good at SCV and supply building, and then get good at just keeping your money low. With just that, you will get to at least platinum. At least. And if you're playing and you're still struggling, all you really need to do is refine those 2. Don't say things like, we built Colossus and then freaking I lost, maybe I should get Vikings there. You're not allowed to do that. I disallow you to do that until you're at like Platinum League. Because you can just build more Marauders, or hell, build more units and just overrun him. Almost no one down there is doing that. Almost no one. And now, a final question. G House asks a question that I have an answer for. Day 9, when would you say it is appropriate to get scouting information using scans? And when is it appropriate to send an SCV? Scouting is something that I find difficult to learn to do properly. I will say try to get an SCV scout in there, ideally before or around 5 minutes. And 5 minutes is around when the Protoss actually starts to take some shape with what he's doing. If you get in there at 3 minutes, you're just going to see a gateway and nothing else. But Right around between 5 and 6, that's when the juicy juice happens. And that's when you want to be trying to get an SCV scout in. Don't be a dumbass and just be like, well, it's 4 minutes and 30 seconds and Day 9 says to scout at 5 and just send it away. Try to figure out a way to sneak your SCV in there. And don't force it. Just up to around 6 minutes is the SCV play area. From around 6:30 to 8, do 1 scan to see what's up. That is what I permit you to do. After the 6-minute mark, you can maybe do a read of your opponent and be like, oh wait, he doesn't have any units in the middle of the map. Let me take this watchtower. Let me actually poke forward with an SCV to the other watchtower. He has nothing there. Let me, oh, here's his units sneaking it around. Do a lot of that after 6 minutes, but generally it's 1 SCV scout before 6, and then 1 scan between 6:30 and 8 if you really have no clue what's going on. And that is the story of this daily. I'm going to be seeing you on Monday next week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and next week, 90% chance that we will have the first ever Day 9's day off on Friday, where I'll be streaming some game that I haven't gotten to play in my life on Friday. Goodbye. Thank you for hanging out on this fine Thursday evening. If you're a newcomer, it's a pleasure to have you here. I hope to see you next time. Till then, head on over to day9.tv where the conversation continues and all that good jazzery. Let's listen to real music.